Hello there everyone, Lars here with a very special writer's review brought to you by Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And this analysis is a special one because it's the very first time that any of us are doing a trailer review and analysis. And this trailer review and analysis is going to be for the upcoming second half of Amphibia's Season 2. It's kind of a weird way for me to put it, but we're going to stick with it. Season 2B. There we go. That's a better way of putting it. This request actually comes from one of our fantastic viewers and also someone near and dear to me, Anya. Thank you, Anya, for suggesting that we try this out. And yeah, I really do enjoy the show Amphibia. I did a review on the four friendships, the tale of four friendships that are in Amphibia, how Anne is friends with Sprig, friends with Marcy, friends with Sasha, and how Anne, Marcy, and Sasha are also a core friendship that we need to keep an eye on. And it's very clear from this trailer for Season 2B that this relationship is going to be front and center. So I'm really looking forward to that. And if you haven't checked out my analysis on the Tale of Four Friendships in Amphibia, please go check it out. I'll have a link in the description for you to go and see that. So yeah, let's just hop right on into this analysis. I've never done anything like this before, so it's going to be an adventure. Now, what I want to do with this analysis is I want to make sure that I'm actually focusing right here, because it would be very easy to get lost in all of the different details, and this trailer gives us quite a bit. We get to see a lot for Ivy, Sprig, Maddie. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy that we're getting more Maddie. I love her character. Obviously, there's a lot of great gags, a lot of wonderful jokes. The show Amphibia is a show that really tries to hit all these different points, gives its wide cast of characters a lot of good growth, development, depth. These are qualities of this show that really make it a winner in my book. So to make sure that I'm actually focusing myself here with this analysis, I'm going to pay particular attention to what this trailer shows us for the friendships of Anne, Marcy, and Sasha, and how these three characters are going to potentially grow in this upcoming segment of the season. And I feel it's very important to focus on these three because Amphibia is all about how relationships are toxic and how they are healthy. And ultimately, we watch as a very toxic friendship between these three girls is supposed to evolve and change into a very healthy one. That is the goal for the show. And I find it very mature that Amphibia tackles this kind of subject, and what we have seen so far in the season and a half that's already aired for Amphibia, that the writers have done a phenomenal job of handling it and have given all of these characters really great moments to shine and to display their positive and their negative qualities. So that is what I'm going to highlight in this analysis. So here at the beginning of the trailer, we get a very clear recap of where the girls all stand right here. Marcy and Anne have reunited. We got a lot of great interactions from them in the first half of Season 2, and Marcy has instantly become a fan favorite within the series right here, and obviously so because she's such a wonderful cinnamon roll, and there are definitely raisins in that cinnamon roll. There is something wrong, and this trailer is going to show it. And I've already postulated on what Marcy's toxic traits are as a friend, and I have something very special and important to show later on here. But for right now, we need to reestablish the fact that Marcy and Anne on the surface are getting along great, and that both of them are very much concerned about how they're going to get home. And they know that despite whatever Sasha has done, they need her as well. They still care about her. They still want to make sure that she's safe and that she comes back home to Earth with them. That is really good. I like that this friendship is still intact, even if it is extremely toxic and rocky. because that shows that there's still a chance for reconciliation and for healing. This is something that you don't often see with a lot of other shows, where instead they just wreck the relationship and it's so awful, and yet people still hold on to it because of what it might be. And you, as the viewer or the reader, are wondering, what the heck? Like, why should I even care? Because obviously this relationship isn't going anywhere. But the opening of this trailer shows that this relationship is still important to these girls. And we see very clearly that Sasha is going off on her own. And I find it very, very interesting how she holds the picture of the three of them, and how we get to see this awesome visual cue of how the wind is folding the picture and covering up Anne. That goes to show that Anne is really now the antagonist to Sasha. That while Sasha also holds on to this friendship and she cares for these two girls, she and Anne are now entirely at odds, and that is what's going to define their relationship throughout the rest of this season, and potentially even going into season 3. So there's a lot of great audio and visual cues for these three girls and their friendship. Next, we get shots of the different temples. This is really important right here because King Andreas showed in his special book, which he probably had stashed somewhere just to have a great aha moment later on to make it seem like after great arduous effort, he finally found the key. Pretty certain this guy already knew what was going on, but, King Andreas, you lovable bastard. I'm so excited to see what else you do this season. In any case, when King Andreas shows his book and we deciphered the clues and the code there within the book, it was very clear that these three girls represent three magical traits that must restore the power of the Calamity Box in order for them to go home, or potentially to open up doors once again to other worlds, allowing the Newts to once again world hop. This is something very important for later on in the show, but for the girls right here, this is really awesome. How each one of them is represented by a certain trait. For Anne, it is heart. For Marcy, it is her wit. And for Sasha, it is her strength. And we're going to see in this second half of season 2 how they embody these traits. And already we've obviously seen how Sasha is not only physically strong, but she has a certain mental fortitude. That is, when she's put her mind to something, she is going to do it. She has both inner and physical strength. Marcy is incredibly intelligent, obviously, and we're going to see how that plays out. And for Anne is a character who wears her heart on her sleeve. She's a very emotional, very loving, very outgoing character. And I'm going to get into why that is important later on here in the analysis. But we see these three temples: the temple for wit, the temple for heart, and the temple for strength. Now, as we get a little bit further into the trailer, we get to see some of the challenges that the girls undergo. Obviously, for the Temple of Wit, Marcy has to solve these puzzles, and we know that she's going to excel at this. But this is where one of the really cool things is shown to us. We see that in one of the rooms, we have the amphibian language light up. Now then, a lot of people have already been working on translating the message within this room, and I'd like to point out that most people have not translated it all the way. In fact, we are still missing part of the message that is on screen. The problem is that that the way that the camera pans and the fact that the shot is so freaking fast, we are missing the opening part of the message. But as it reads, and I'll note that most people stop at a certain point, the message so far reads, "Dangerous room, what to do?" That's where most people stop, but there's a little bit more to the message. "Don't be jealous of my hue." This is so important. The moment that I saw it, it made things click for Marcy. Because in my previous video, looking at the 4 friendships within Amphibia, I speculated about what Marcy's toxic trait could be. And I said that it is that she can't really connect with people. And that's definitely part of it. But here we have actually something way more concrete. Because in the episode where Marcy admits that she's envious of Anne's ability to connect with other people, she talks about that envy. And here in the room with the code for Marcy, we have don't be jealous of my hue. Hue, color, the color green. Hers is the green gem of wit. And I was like, holy dang, it all makes so much sense. Marcy's already said that she's envious. And here we again have jealousy. Marcy's toxic trait is jealousy. Green! She's green with envy! I don't know how I didn't see this earlier, but the moment that I saw it right there on the screen, I was like, oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! And how is that going to play out? I'm going to get to that in a little bit later when we see another part of this trailer. But so, moving on from Marcy's temple, we get to see Anne on top of this temple with Valeriana, and I think that this is really, really cool. Now, there's a lot of speculation going on right now on the interwebs about what this certain trial or what this magical incantation could be. Honestly, I don't really know. But one of the things I've been thinking about when it comes to Anne and the power of heart is this. Anne had given her heart to Sasha and Marcy. When we look back at season 1, we see how Anne doesn't really feel comfortable with a lot of the things that Sasha, especially, but also Marcy, want to do, such as stealing a music box, skipping out on school, skipping out on the birthday party that her parents have put together for her. However, she's given her love and her loyalty to her two friends. And that is a very powerful thing to give. And they took advantage of that. That is why that relationship is so toxic. And Anne did not have the courage of heart to stand up to them and to really be herself. And to say when she was not comfortable. This temple, I believe, will help Anne to face that. And to truly discover the courage of her own heart. We've already seen this right here where she has stood up to Sasha once before, and where she has stood up to the Toads, where she has stood up for the Planters, where she has stood up for herself. What I think we'll begin to see more in Season 2B is Anne now taking her heart back and living for herself, but also when you are in full control of your own heart, your own love, your own loyalty, you are free to give it to other people when they need it. And that's something that I think is really cool about the power of heart, the power of love. That when you are able to love yourself, when you're able to have your own heart, when you're able to have courage for yourself, you are then more capable of giving it to other people. And that's something that we have seen with Anne as she has grown out of this selfish personality that she has at the beginning of season 1 to becoming a much more caring, much more understanding, and much more accepting person. And I think that the challenge for that heart is actually not so much the temple, but that the challenge will be in the episode After the Rain, where she must confront the fact that Hop Hop has hidden the Calamity Box, has not shared its secrets with other people, and that he has actively tried to sabotage her and keep her on Amphibia. That is going to be a betrayal that she is going to have to overcome. She gave her heart to Hop Hop. Will that be something that she now regrets? Could their relationship turn toxic? Or is she going to use that power of love to overcome that initial hurt, to overcome those boundaries of misunderstanding and miscommunication, and rebuild that trust, rebuild that relationship? And together she, Hop Hop, and the Planters are going to become even better. I believe that that is Anne's true challenge. Then, of course, we have the Temple for Strength. And this is going to be where Sasha absolutely excels. She and Anne are going to be in a mad dash to see whoever overcomes this temple first and passes its challenges. And this is going to be where they once again have to work together. And I believe that we're not going to get a flashback there. No, I believe that the flashback for Anne, Sasha, and Marcy is going to come later on. Probably in True Colors, or Battle of the Bands. That's going to be my guess. But there it's going to lay the foundation for understanding how these two actually worked well together. Because early on in season 1, we see that they were good friends, but one of the things that's very important to show in a friendship dynamic is chemistry, compatibility, the power, the dynamic between these two, the give and the take, how they play off of each other. And what I think is this, is that the test within the Temple of Strength is going to show just how well they can play off of each other, how well Anne and Sasha complement one another, but also it will highlight the toxicity once again within their relationship and how they hold each other back. And I think that's going to be really awesome to see. Now, a little bit further into the trailer, we get this really neat chess segment right here with Marcy. And I can't help but think about Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, where Ron, Harry, and Hermione have to play their way through this dangerous game of chess in order to try to get the Sorcerer's Stone. And what I thought about when watching this was all like, like that's pretty neat. Is this Marcy doing some neat wit training? Like, what's going on right here? But then we see that she's pretty angry with slamming down a chess piece. And now there are people who speculate that this is going to be when Marcy discovers that King Andreas is using her. Here's the thing though, I don't quite buy into that, because while watching this scene right here, if she were truly angry, you would watch as the arm comes down, almost like an executioner's blade, like, "You've betrayed me!" But instead, it's almost calculating. She's angry as she pulls back the piece and then sticks it like a knife back onto the board. Being someone who's played quite a bit of chess and who's gotten super angry when playing chess when someone destroys my perfect strategy, I can tell you this. That look is the look of someone who is determined. I personally believe that what we are going to see is we are going to see Marcy's game plan fall apart in the second half of this season. This comes back to my previous analysis of Amphibia's 4 main friendships, and how Marcy views a lot of Amphibia more like a game. And I feel that King Andreas has really played into that. And that for Marcy, she sees her going back home with her friends like a quest. And that the quest is all supposed to come together at a certain point. But stuff goes wrong. And it's going to make her angry. And remember that her toxic trait is now pretty much been confirmed to be envy. She's going to be envious of the power that Anne has exhibited. She's going to be envious of the strength that Sasha has. And I think that to a certain degree, she's going to be envious that Anne can forgive Sasha at the end of it all. That is something that maybe for Marcy, we haven't yet seen too much of what's really going on in Marcy's head. But I feel that Marcy is going to be upset and think that whatever plan she's putting together, it's not coming together the way she wanted to, and it's because of her friends. She's going to be pissed. And so she is going to take the reins, and she's going to try to be the strong one, the loving one, to do things her own way because she understands. She is smart. She even tells Anne, use your head instead of your heart. And that is probably what's going to lead to the climax at the end of the season. But then we get to a flashback. And I love that we get this right here because it clears up something, at least for me. One of the things that I wondered about was, when did these 3 girls come together to be friends? Because I personally looked at it as though Sasha came to school. She's definitely one of the cooler kids, one of the more popular kids, but she's feeling a little bit insecure. She needs followers. She needs a pack. And Anne and Marcy seem like the perfect people to bring into this pack. Now, I did say that she honestly cares about them. However, I believed that there was still this power dynamic that had been in place from the very beginning. However, in this flashback, We already clearly see that Anne and Marcy were friends back when they were little kids, back when they were very young in kindergarten, and that they were already in a relationship of some kind as well with Sasha. Whether this flashback right here is showing how they all meet, that Sasha comes in as a hero and saves them from being bullied or whatever, or if it's just like a cool reunion of the friends on the playground, I don't really know. But I love that we are getting this flashback, and I love the fact that their relationship has been a part of their lives for many, many years at this point. It solidly cements that they are besties, and it serves even more to the narrative of showing that even good relationships, good friendships can fall apart given time, that even a strong, healthy relationship can turn toxic if certain things happen in life, in your personal choices, between you and your friends. I love that. That shows incredible maturity and strength of writing on the part of Amphibia. And it just honestly makes me super, super happy to see this play out. So this little flashback right here, if anything, this to me was the most important part of the entire trailer. And finally, for the second to last shot, we see upon the ramparts of Newtopia a battle occurring, and Anne and Sasha facing off once again, and Sasha has her hands up. This is curious right here. Who knows what's going on right here? Is Sasha turning herself over? Has she finally had a real moment of conscience where she realizes, holy dang, I'm the bad guy and this needs to stop? Is she trying to make amends with Anne? Or is this all a ploy to once again have Anne give her heart to Sasha, so that way Sasha can manipulate it and break her once again? Or is there something else at play that we haven't yet seen or figured out? I don't really know. But this right here, I think, is very important to see, that we're going to have this confrontation. And once again, I think that this is where we're going to see Marcy snap and do something that she really shouldn't do, that might even ruin reconciliation between Anne and Sasha. When I look at this final shot right here, I should say the second to last shot, this is almost obviously going to be true colors. And what I love about this idea right here is this. Once again, thinking about the friendships right here, these three girls are trying to go back home together. They have a toxic friendship that they want to repair, and it's essential that they repair it in order for them to even go back home or to face the horrors that are about to come. I love the idea of true colors because I believe that all three girls are going to show their strengths and their weaknesses in this final episode, and that it will be clear to all three of them by the end of this season what went wrong with their friendship. I believe that all three girls will still be separate from each other by the end of this second season, and that the third season will be them finally coming to terms with everything that they've learned and reconciling in order to face the night, defeat it, save Amphibia, and to then finally go home. But before they can do that, all three must finally see each other for who they really are and accept that. I do believe that that is what True Colors is going to be. And that is the culmination of everything that Amphibia has been doing since the very beginning. And I love that. I love how strong the writing is within this show. This is the power of a consistent theme throughout the entire story's runtime. This is something that many authors unfortunately overlook. It's very, very easy to set up some really cool ideas, to set up some really cool character arcs, and to set up some really awesome themes within your story. But as your stories grow and expand as you write, it's so easy to get lost in the fluff, to go on side quests, to build up side characters, and to do all these other things. and it then oversaturates the story, and it weighs down your main character arcs, and it makes the main themes somewhat muddled. It's very, very easy to do that unless you're very meticulous and careful with having theme and character consistency. What I see right here in this trailer are hints of the consistency of theme being friendships, how friendships are toxic and how friendships are healthy, and how we repair toxic friendships. And I see also the consistency of characters. Holy dang, I am so excited for this, because if the writers can pull this off, Season 2 will be the payoff to everything that they have set up in Season 1, everything in Season 2A, and Season 2B will deliver phenomenally on these 3 girls. And I am so excited to see that. And one of the things that I do want to bring in, because in my review of Amphibia's 4 main friendships, I did also talk a lot about Anne and Sprig. I think it's very obvious that Anne and Sprig are going to remain close friends throughout this series. And now we're transitioning to Anne having learned more about what a healthy friendship is. She can now reach out to Sasha and Marcy and really help these 2 out, especially once she's able to discover more about herself and accept her strengths and weaknesses. But I believe that Sprig will continue to play a very strong and very pivotal role in Anne's development as a character. And I think the thing to remember is this, that Sprig will always have Anne's back. And I think that Sprig is going to be the one to really help Anne face her weaknesses and her fears. I believe that Sprig is also going to show how much he's grown as he interacts with Maddie, with Ivy, and with other characters. And I think that Sprig in his own right is going to end up being a very important hero for the rest of the series. And the fact that they haven't shown us that in the trailer makes me think that he's going to play a very powerful role indeed. Because trailers want to show you some of the most fantastic, most entertaining stuff to hook you, but if a trailer's done right, it holds back the real sucker punches. So that way you think you know what's going to happen, but then it gives you a good right hook. So, who knows what's going to happen next? This is my analysis and my review so far of the trailer, and kind of went a little bit longer than I thought it would. But there's so much to say about Amphibia. I am so looking forward to the return of the show. And holy dang, if you guys want more Amphibia content here on Camille's Harem, please let me know. I love watching this show, and it really has brought a smile to my face. It's one of the best shows currently airing, and so I'm just super excited for it. If you're excited for it as well, please let me know what you're looking forward to down in the comment section. And thank you for joining us on this fun little analysis detour on the journey that we call writing. If you'd like to get some really good, solid writing advice, please go check out our podcast episodes found on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, the works. We also have plenty of videos out here on YouTube for you to check out. We're also building up our community over at Reddit, and we now have a special Discord server for you to check out as well. So please check out all of those links down in the description below. And until the next video, y'all, tschüss.